Good afternoon, dear students. In the previous class, we discussed about ordinal way of measuring the utility, and then in that we discussed what is indifference curve. So, as we know, there are two methods. One is cardinal, and second one is ordinal way of measuring the utility. In cardinal way, we will try to measure the utility in terms of numbers. But here in ordinal, we will try to, the consumer try to rank the bundles. Here, the consumer try to rank the bundles to express his satisfaction for that particular commodity. So what do you mean by bundle? You know that it's combination of two goods. And here, in combination of two goods, when we have more combinations like that, more combinations here means it is same product we are using here, as we assume that in market we have only two products, A and B, apple and banana. So this is one bundle and this is another bundle with different combinations. Here we can say 1 apple 15 banana or 2 apple 12 banana, like that. When he consumes this bundle and this bundle both, he can rank between these two bundles. When he got more satisfied, whether when he consumed this bundle or this bundle, combination of goods. So in this way, here we will try to understand how the satisfaction of the consumer by ranking the bundles. Okay, then in that we discuss indifference curve. Indifference means here the utility or the satisfaction of the consumer remains same. To keep his utility same, what we are doing here is we are trying to get the bundles. We'll do permutation and combination here with a set of goods. So, in all these combination, we will do permutation combination here to keep his satisfaction level same. To keep his satisfaction level same, how we can combine the goods which are available. That we know the curve looks like here. If it is 15 banana, then 1 apple, like that. The curve looks like this. 2 apple, 12 banana. If it is third apple, 10 banana. If it is fourth apple, it is 9 banana. So the points look like this, and we will get this curve. here, as we are doing permutation combination of different goods 15 1, 12 2, 10 3, 9 4, like this. When we have these bundles with these combinations, his satisfaction level won't change. That's why we call it as indifference curve. Indifference with his satisfaction level. So we have used few numbers here to to get this curve. Using the same data, we'll try to understand today what is marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution. We can call it as MRS, marginal rate of substitution. So we will take the same previous day's data, bundle here, apple, banana, the A bundle, A combination. Here we are using 1 apple, 15 banana, and in the second bundle, second combination, it is 2 apple and 12 bananas. And C, D, it is 3 plus 10, 4 apple, 9 bananas. So these are the combination where his satisfaction level remains same. It is same here, utility. There is no difference in its utility. That's why it is indifference. Okay? And we draw this. Curve looks like this. This is indifference curve, keeping the utility same. So when we say marginal rate of substitution, it means that here the consumer is substituting apple for banana. Means he was consuming in this bundle. He was consuming 1 apple, 50 bananas, correct? So now he wants to substitute apple for banana. He wants to reduce the banana and he wants to increase the apple. So what is in quantity? Rate of substitution, you can say. Here from 15 to 12, correct? From 15 bananas to 12 bananas, he reduced here to get 1 extra apple. In this second bundle, he is reducing 3 bananas for 1 apple. This is the rate. There is a change. So what is the rate of substitution here? Marginal rate of substitution means he is substituting apple for banana, and in what rate? What is the rate here? Okay. So for 3 bananas, he will go with one apple. Again, if you want one more apple more, he is substituting that with two bananas. He will sacrifice two banana. Sorry, he will substitute two bananas for one additional apple here. This is the rate. Now again, if you want one more apple, he will substitute with one banana. You see, from 10 to 9. Okay. So here, in the second bundle, if you see, he is reducing banana by 3 for one apple. In this C combination is reducing banana 2 for one apple, and D, he is reducing one banana for one apple. So this is the rate looks like. So you will reduce the bananas in this rate. Okay. Now, how we can put this in words? So I will write that here. MRS is the rate at which the consumer will substitute, at which the consumer bananas for mango. So that the total utility remains constant. If you see this table, we can understand all these concepts. Ordinal, indifferential, marginal rate of substitution here. Ordinal means he is ranking actually. He is ranking whether he is satisfied more with this bundle or this bundle. But when we discuss about indifference, we are keeping his utility same, and we are selecting different combinations here. To keep this utility same, we are finding out different combination of goods which using same utility. That is what we call it as indifference term. And in marginal rate of substitution, if we observe this table carefully, what he is doing here is, in first combination, 1 apple, 15 banana, correct? In the second combination, if he wants to change this combination and add 2 apples here, he has to reduce the quantity of banana, that is from 15 to 12. And what is the rate? What is the rate here of substituting these products, apple for banana? To that rate, we call it as marginal rate of substitution. What is the rate of substitution he is considering here to select the different combination? Okay, so the rate shows here. Initially, if you see, he is sacrificing 3 banana for 1 apple. Then if you see the third bundle, he is sacrificing 2 banana for 1 apple, and in the fourth bundle he is sacrificing one banana for one apple. Okay, this is the rate he is substituting the products here. The same thing is written here. Marginal rate of substitution is the rate, it is the rate at which the consumer will substitute bananas. The consumer will substitute banana for mango. To get this, we can say we have written apple, so I'll take it as apple. Correct? Okay. So, marginal rate of substitution is the rate at which the consumer will substitute bananas for apple. What is the rate he is substituting bananas for apple? So that the total utility remains constant. So, again we are keeping the utility constant same. Keeping this in mind, what is the rate, in what rate he is substituting this banana for additional apples? So this we call it as marginal rate of substitution. कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ता है, correct? So कितना खो रहा है? What is the rate he is sacrificing here? What is the substitution rate to get this apple? So that is marginal rate of substitution. So if we see this, we have the same table, we can understand one more concept, that is one more concept called law of marginal diminishing rate of substitution. We can use the same table to understand that concept, the law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. The law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. The law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Okay. So what this law says? As we can see here, the law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. The law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. So, if now we will try to understand what this title says. Law of diminishing. Diminishing means reducing, decreasing. What is reducing here? What is decreasing? The marginal rate of substitution. What we call MRS. The rate he is substituting the commodities. What is the rate here? 3 to 1 for one apple, one more apple, correct? If you see this trend, the substitution, whatever he is doing, it is diminishing here, correct? Even though he is sacrificing bananas for apple, initially he reduced three bananas for one apple, and later it reduced, the substitution quantity reduced. Instead of 3 bananas, in the second bundle he reduced that to two bananas. So again, in the next bundle, what he did is still the rate of substitution is still down. It is fallen, correct? From 2 to 1. So to get 1 apple, he is sacrificing 1 banana. If you see this, it is also reducing. The marginal rate is falling here, correct? So that is what it says. When we increase the number of apples, the substitution rate of that commodity will fall. It starts diminishing. Okay. What is the rate we are substituting? What is the rate we are substituting? That rate diminishes. That is what we call it as diminishing marginal rate of substitution. I'll write here what the law says. The tendency for the marginal rate of substitution to fall, the tendency for the marginal rate of substitution to fall with increase in the quantity with the quantity of apple. Okay. The law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution means it is the tendency for marginal rate of substitution to fall, the tendency of MRS to fall with the increase in the quantity of apple. With the increase in the quantity of apple, the MRS starts falling, correct? With the increase in the quantity of apple, the MRS is falling here. This tendency, we know it as the law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Here it is simple. अगर हम कुछ आइटम को रिप्लेस करना चाहते हैं, if you want that, in what rate we want to do? तो कितना सैक्रिफाइस कर रहे हैं इधर? So even though we are sacrificing, we are reducing, कम कर रहे प्रोडक्ट्स में, फिर भी क्या होता है? That reducing quantity वो भी कम होता जा रहा है, correct? Here, so 3 we substituted for 1 apple. When the quantity of apple increase, the substitution rate is reducing, correct? So that we can call it as diminishing marginal rate of substitution. But we say here the rate is diminishing, correct? But if we have a perfect substitution, then what the economics will say, if we'll get the perfect substitution, this rate of substitution will not decrease, it will not diminish. I will give an example here. Suppose I write the numbers 8, 7, 6, 5. Otherwise, we can use the same thing. What I said is, if we have a perfect substitution, then this rate will not diminish. It means that, for example, 5 rupees coin, and 5 rupees note. Okay, so we have these two products, you can say. We have 5 rupees coin and 5 rupees note, both. This, I said, the coin or the note, these are perfect substitution. There is no change in the value or the change in the quantity, or there is no change in the value here. That's why we can call it a perfect substitution. When there is a perfect substitution, suppose I'll write here in the same table. We can have one more thing for understanding, correct? We'll see now how this substitution rate changes. Okay, we have one 5 rupee coin and we have 8 5 rupee note. Okay, so this is one combination. Fine. Now he wants to add one more coin. Okay, so here it is 2. When he wants to add one more coin, he has to substitute that with note, correct? Then how much he is going to reduce in his quantity of notes? How many notes he has? He has 8 notes of 5 rupees. But when he wants to increase this coins, he has to reduce, right? And what is the rate? From 8 to 7. Because the value here is same, it is perfect substitution. That is why from 8 he is reducing to 7 to get one more 5 rupees coin. Again, if he wants the third coin, he can still further reduce this from 7 to 6. Correct? We can't do how we did with this banana and apple, because both the products are same with the value and nature. That's why we can say this is perfect substitution for note with coin. In this case, if you want to increase the number here, we can reduce in the notes, but there is no diminishing values built up here. Fourth coin, he has to go with 5 notes, 4 coins, or 1 coin, 8 notes. So to add on coins, for 2 coins, he has to reduce 1 note. So 1 adding, 1 reducing here. In this case, the rate, if you see the rate of substitution here, it is 1 note for 1 coin. Here also it is 1 note for 1 coin, 5 rupee coin. Here also it remains same. Correct? So when we have this perfect substitution, this marginal rate of substitution, the rate, it will not diminish, it will not reduce. When it will start diminishing, when there is no perfect substitution, that time we can see this diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Only we can see the marginal rate MRS is diminishing when we don't have perfect substitution. If we have perfect substitution, then there is no diminishing in MRS. Right? Now, if we draw the curve here, how these MRS with perfect substitution and imperfect substitution, how those curve looks like, right? I'll draw here. $15 banana, 1 apple. 12 banana, 2 apple. 10 bananas, 3 apple. And 9 bananas with 4 apple. The curve looks like this. Right? When we observe this, here it is note, it is coin. But when he has 8 notes, he has 1 coin. The point is here. When he has 7, he wants to increase the coin by 2, then he has to reduce the notes by 7. So, we have point here. For 6 notes, we will be having 3 coins. The fifth, it is 4 coins. So if you draw a line here, if you join these points, what we'll get? We'll get a straight line, because we have a perfect substitution here. That's why there is no change in the MRS, that is marginal rate of substitution. There is no change here. That's why the line is straight line we get here. But when we see, when there is no perfect substitution, the curve looks like this, because the rate is diminishing here. From 3 to 2, 1, like this. That's why this curve looks like this. It is convex to version. You can say it is convex to version, and curve looks like this. It is diminishing when we substitute apple for bananas. Correct? So this is the curve when there is no perfect substitution, and this is the curve when we have a perfect substitution. So it is a straight line, and it is a convex, a curve we will get when there is no perfect substitution. So these are the concepts we have discussed. What is cardinal? Here they are measuring with numbers. Ordinal, they are trying to rank the bundles. Indifference curve means we will keep his satisfaction level same and try to find out different combinations. to maintain his saturation level same. And law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Before this, we have discussed marginal rate of substitution. It means what is the rate, at what rate he is substituting banana with apple. He is substituting bananas and he is adding apple here. To get apples, he is reducing banana. He is substituting apple with banana. Right? So here, when we see this trend, why we call it as diminishing? This is whatever the substitution happening is, with what rate. This we call it as marginal rate of substitution. And when we are discussing the law of diminishing marginal rate, if you see in imperfect substitution, when he is substituting one product for other product, the rate, if you see, it starts falling, it starts diminishing. Okay, initially he substituted with more numbers, later the numbers of substitution is reducing here. This tendency we call it as diminishing marginal rate of substitution. If the products are imperfect substitution. If we have a product which is perfect substitution, for example, in our example, 5 rupee coin and 5 rupee note. These two products, we can say, if you want to substitute, we have a perfect substitution here. In this case, we will get a straight line. There is no change in the MRS. There is no marginal rate of substitution. There is no change. It is not diminishing here. Correct? So when it is not diminishing, because of the perfect product which we have as a substitution, in that situation we will get a straight line. If it is not, then we will get this convex curve. Fine? Okay, so we'll stop here. The next topics we can discuss. Hope you understood this concept. It's very simple. So, in ordinal, we have discussed indifference and law of diminishing marginal rate. And what do you mean by marginal rate of substitution? All those things, and how this curve looks like, and what this table tells about the substitution rates. Fine. So we will discuss the other topics in the next class. Thank you. Have a good time.